Bonjour, hi, welcome to the stream, everybody. I'm Frank Boucher, and today I'm not the host, but I'm not the guest. I think we're both hosts and guests.
Yeah, I'm both hosting and guesting.
Yeah, exactly. So today I'm joined with, I got it, good side, Jason Han.
You're over here, and Frank.
Exactly. We should shake hands. My stream buddy. We decided to do a little bit different today. Kind of pause from like having a guest and everything a bit to explain some changes that we are thinking. Also, the show is really for for you, for the communities, for the developers, DevOps, IT people, ops. I don't want to put too much title of a person because I will probably forget one and someone will say, oh, that show is not for me. So today is a little bit, we want to answer questions. So we want that very interactive. I tweet earlier today, say, hey, ask me questions. So I had a few questions. I know it's Monday morning for a lot of us. So, getting back slowly. But I think it could be very interesting. If it works, we could repeat the occasion, maybe pack a few of questions and do like an answer question type of stream. But that's the point of today. We wanna explain some changes and we'll be doing things differently. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, sounds good. And virtual high five to Sean. Thanks for joining us again. And just like Frank mentioned, we wanted to kind of mix things up. We also wanted to pause for a minute and recognize those of you who have been watching and following along as we've been doing stuff on Microsoft Twitch, or Microsoft Developers Twitch channel, as we've transitioned over to Learn TV and doing more stuff over there. Frank and I were involved with Ignite just briefly towards the end of last week also. So we've been kind of just, toying around with a few different things. And moving forward, we want to make sure that we address stuff that's actually helpful. At the end of the day, we're hoping that you're all learning and learning new things, learning new skills, connecting with the right people and topics. And so we want to make sure of course, have fun, lots of fun. But make sure that we're on track and giving you what you're looking for. So not only, Frank mentioned he put something out on Twitter. And anybody who wants to respond to that, go take a look at that. And then also, if you got questions, of course, throughout today, we'd love to hear them. We've got a few things already in mind about what we thought we'd go over. But definitely would love to hear from you some more on what we can do to, help you out, help you learn more, that kind of thing.
I'm trying to adjust my super banner, but it's not clear.
Yeah. Oh, another thing. Yeah, I was gonna say other things that look a little bit different too is we've added some fancy new ticker scroller.
I'm trying. All Around Azure Unplugged. It's hard to put something that match. We need to work on our. I think it's about time. We've been saying that for a long time, Jason. But I think it's about time we work our own design.
Yeah, well, we kind of got something in the works, right? We started playing around with a little bit of different background when we went live last week at Ignite, and trying to think of some different ideas for, just the overall look and feel.
So question, we have our first live question from Code with Sean is asking, have you played with the Azure Biceps? No.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, no, but I'm not familiar with it, but I just looked it up, and here I'll drop this link to you, Frank, so maybe we can share this with others.
Oh, you have access to the chat though, right?
I do. I guess I can do that too. That should let me, since I'm
I can totally do it for you, but
Yeah. Now see if you can see the link. I added it in there.
Yep.
So if it allowed you in there. Okay.
Oh, you're wearing pink today. Jason24 is in pink.
I'm in pink today. Okay.
Yep. You're pinkish.
So it looks like it's as Sean was describing. This is just a GitHub repo, but it's looks like an ARM template implementation, doing domain-specific language for deploying Azure resources declaredly.
Yeah. So Biceps is infrastructure as code.
Yeah.
So it's a way to build and deploy to Azure. And ARM templates are hard to read. They are JSON. They can become very complex. Of course, a lot of time when we try to explain how to deploy using ARM template, we use very simple things because we want to focus on the ARM template, not the complexity of the solution you're deploying. So this way, a lot of time in the blogs, the videos, and I'm guilty of that. Like I did that many times because you want to focus on the ARM, whatever you're trying to explain. But when you're using it in real life, it can become very verbose and everything, and it's a little bit complex to use and to read, to understand. So the team decided to create Bicep. And it's like a full rewrite of the solution. So it takes a lot of time. So I was aware of Biceps coming up. I did see some, very early kind of draft of it. But I didn't have the time to look into it. I was very busy. There's a series that I did about ARM, and I was really busy working on those. So and I didn't want to, play with the two to be confused. So now my recording of the ARM series are done, but it was Ignite. So Ignite now is done. So now I should be able to start playing with Biceps and provide the feedback to the team. But anyone who's interested can provide feedback. That's why they are doing it open source, right? So like if you want to try it and maybe like your Ninja and ARM template or in Terraform or Bash script, whatever. So trying that thing, you will be able to provide feedback. Or maybe you're a newbie. You always have been right-click deploy. Now you would like to have something to be more in production style deployment. So try Biceps and try to bring feedback to it. Be constructive, of course. If you're just saying that it's trash or whatever, you're not helping. But the team will be super happy of any kind of feedback you're providing. That's why they are doing it in the open source. And we see that more and more at Microsoft, where the teams are working in open space, right? We see that also with .NET doing that a lot.
Yep.
So it's very exciting. It looked very, very promising. I'm looking forward to try it. There's other things. There's other stuff. I will mention it later on the show, but there's a lot of good things that have been announced and are interesting.
Cool. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with that, but sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I know.
Just like 1 week, I think, before Ignite, it has been officially announced.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, super important stuff. I mean, that sounds a lot like the type of stuff we were teaching at Ignite last year. Just not really. Obviously not that tool, but introducing the ideas of infrastructure as code to more and more people, I think is super important.
Yeah.
And those ARM templates are, like you said, they're not, once they get so kind of big, they're a little bit hard to make sense of, especially if you're not familiar with doing much YAML. But I will say that the plugins in VS Code have made a huge difference lately. There have been some really nice enhancements that make it easy to kind of lint your code, make sure everything's formatted right, syntactically, all that kind of stuff. So that's really, I would say, reduced my frustration with ARM templates by using that plugin. So
I have Yeah, no, the extension before you needed to have. I'm really bad at typing as I'm speaking. Um, before you needed to have like 2 or 3 extension, and now like they move stuff part of the official one, and a good chunk of it was part the snippet part was done previously by an Azure MVP, and his name is it Tom? I forgot his name, but he was an MVP. So it's pretty cool that the team decided to take his code and kind of bring it inside the official extension. I'm just looking. Yep. I want to share with you the series of blog I did on DevTO about the learning Azure. So if people, not Azure, but ARM template. I got it. Boom. So we'll share that. So right now there's 10 post video. It's also attached to a GitHub repo where you have the code snippet, where you have, oh, I can, you know what, let me kind of, I will, you know, shame plug, but it was a lot of work and I think it could be useful. Am I sharing my screen?
I ruined it. I tried to put in a link and it didn't work. I was trying to put in the link to the extension here, but if you just go to the marketplace and search for Azure Resource Manager Tools, you'll find that one.
Oh, I was talking about, yeah, okay, we'll share that after, but I think I also share that inside the series. But don't look, the part number 2 is before number 1, but after that they are all in the same order. So every video, let's say I click the first one here, so there's the list, there's the video, and that's our friend Neil here talking about the extension. That's why I didn't put just the extension.
I like his hat.
Yeah, like, is it the same as yours?
I don't know, I think it might be.
So you have the video available here, a little blog post also talking about the extension. This one is to get you started, so just about like how to create your first ARM template. So, and after that, all the other videos are talking about, okay, let's talk about the variable, where they are useful, how can you use them, real case scenario. Okay, now let's talk about the functions, the looping, the reference, all those things. So very, very interesting. And the last one that was published 2 weeks ago, I think, is how to get a template from something that already exists. So, and there's still, should I spoil it? 2 video coming. And yeah, everything
also,
yep.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that everything is also in GitHub. So you have everything in GitHub with the code snippet and everything.
Yeah, what I was going to say is I love the ability to deploy with the big blue button, deploy to Azure, using the ARM template from right inside of a GitHub repo.
I use that a lot of time.
That's like the best. And you can just make it so easy. Somebody can just press a button and then does the rest of it.
Yeah, and right now I'm struggling. Well, you know my URL shortener, Jason. I know you're using it also. But I was using that to deploy that thing. But with the new version, in fact, the version 1 is mostly ready. I won't be able to use that button anymore. We'll need to clone it because I want to use the static web app, and for that I still need a GitHub action, so it needs to run on the owner GitHub. Cannot be all from my GitHub, but yeah, that will be very interesting.
Yeah, is there some way we can pass in a parameter for that?
I'm not sure. I did try. I reached out to the team, but it was just before Ignite, so they were very, 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 very busy. We know why. They announced like the preview and everything. I didn't know, so they probably found me very annoying since I was like, asking exactly where they were about to share. But I did try, so like it's working very well. My problem right now is I want anybody to deploy it very easily, because I think a URL shortener is very practical, like it's useful, but doesn't mean you're an expert in deploying and stuff like that. So I want it very easy to deploy. But I think I got it now. I will be like clone. But you know,
and wasn't some of the recent
was doing configuration, and now that Git things, I will need to find a way to make those change inside of it. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how many versions behind I am on the deployment that I've got running of yours. I know you've made a lot of changes, and wasn't some of it to reduce the cost also?
Well, that's version 1 will be the first version that will be really cost efficient.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, it's not been that expensive to run it, but you know, it's hard to make the argument of using it over some other ones out there. But now I think with the new version, it's
it will be like
totally different.
$2-3 a month, probably less. I'm keeping some buffer here.
Yeah,
it depends, right? If you are an enterprise and you have like thousands and thousands of clicks and things like that, or URL, or you know, many different things, maybe it will be a little bit more expensive. But then like it was a tool that we created online for fun, but also has like, it's useful. Like I like those projects where you're building something, you're learning, you're having fun, and then like you could use it. It's not just like I did a hello world.
I mean, that was the main thing for me, is I needed a new URL shortener, and I knew you had been working on one, and so it was kind of fun to get it up and going, and then kind of give you feedback on a few things and get straightened out on like what I wasn't doing right. But yeah, I'm excited to get the thing kind of upgraded to the newer tech, the newer stuff. I want to do that next week maybe.
Well, I think next week I will have probably something maybe a little bit rough, because it always take like 2-3 deployment that are not mine, because I have everything in my head. And then like I patch the missing part of the documentation, or add little, you know, finesse in the script, so it's a little bit more smart. But next week I think we'll be ready to have something interesting, and then we'll start working on another project. Not sure yet what it will be, but you know, maybe we could have some suggestions.
What are the options? Yeah, is there anything on the consideration list so far?
Could be a game.
Could be a game. We have talked about some game ideas.
I have one tool that I start doing on my stream. It was a tool that used Azure containers. So I'm happy today we had one question about that, and it's my reading notes generator. So every time I found an article interesting online, I don't like to read on the screen, so I send that to my Kindle, my e-reader, and I read there. I put in notes, and at the end of the week, the way it's saved inside the document is just a flat file. So I have a process that take that file and generate a draft of a blog, but then like go back, pick up the URL and stuff like that. So I want to have an end-to-end solution where I keep all those information, so I don't need, you know, on Sunday night say, okay, what was the URL, paste it, find again the author information and mash up that. Like, so I want to process. I'm planning to use Azure Function, Azure Logic App, Docker container, and I needed an interface. So I want to do it, and I was waiting the Blazor WebAssembly. So now that it's there, I will be doing that. And I'm using, I think, Cosmo. I think we picked Cosmo DB as a data storage.
Right, okay. And maybe you just mentioned this, but because some of the recent announcements, we can do C# as a function.
Yeah. Well, as function, that was for a while. The new the novelty here is the static web app.
Right.
That's now possible to do it. Like, it's kind of, it was possible before, but you were like, you know, going by the back door by yourself, kind of, you know, patching things. Now you just go in the portal. Do I want a new static web app? It will be a Blazor thing, pointing to your GitHub repo, and it's working. We could demo it later on if people are interested.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I myself would love to see it. I haven't been in there and looked at that since the release.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Saw the chat. If you want some question, name topic you want to talk on, I will give you questions.
We choose our area of expertise, and Sean will provide a question.
Okay. Another thing I had was also use your voice. It's kind of a forum application, and it's to share project or thoughts for the community, so the community could decide what's the next one. Let's say I was planning to use that for my YouTube channel or my stream, so people could pitch their ideas what could be a good project, and then other could vote on it and stuff like that. And like when I need inspiration or I need a topic, let's say for now, like it could be all our questions, we go to that page, take the top 10 questions and answer them and stuff like that. But it could also for the projects. So I started doing that. I was trying to do entity framework, so I needed to learn entity framework, but then Ignite last year I think started, and I was kind of busy with the traveling and everything, so that project kind of paused for a little while, so we could go back into that. Or like I mentioned, like a game. I don't know if how many of you were there last week when we did the special episode Ignite recap.
Mm-hmm.
We played to Kahoot. How do you say again that name?
Kahoot.
Kahoot.
KAHOT. .it.
And honestly, I really like that game.
Yeah, it's fun.
In the chat, like let us know if you were there. If not,
we could play that again.
If you play that game and if you liked it or whatever, like if you think that could be interesting to have every once in a while in the stream or maybe at every show, let us know what's your thoughts about that. We want to do more interaction with you. So
hey, one thing too before I forget, there was a few things we wanted to make sure we shared and just chatted about too. Is there was the challenge to the exams challenge. What was that called, Frank? That just came out with Ignite that goes through October 5th.
The skill challenge.
That's right, the skill challenge.
Want to share your screen?
Yeah, let me see if I can find the link first.
Because okay, so you wanna answer the first question we had then on Twitter?
Yeah, let me get to that. Let's see. Share my screen here.
That was the it was in French, the question, so you won't probably be able to.
Okay. Well, you see my screen here now?
I didn't share it, but I can if you want.
Oh yeah, go ahead. We'll take a look at what we saw on Twitter this morning after you put out your question. Frank, looking funny here. But yeah, what kind of help can we help you with in terms of any current projects? Is there something we can clarify? Something we can do a demo on? And one of the things that came up here, and Frank, you can, I'm sure, read this much better than I can, but essentially it comes down to the certification around AZ900 and what kind of preparation there is for that. And Frank and I have gone through and done the Azure AZ900 fundamentals exam already. It was about this time last year, I think, is when we were starting to get ready for it. And then since then, we've been kind of helping other people get prepared for it and sharing everything we could. And then we just found out this past week during Ignite that there's this new skilling challenge that Microsoft has put out. That I think it's right here, the Microsoft Ignite Cloud Skills Challenge, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, if you go through this and you do
just
one of these things, then you are then qualified to take one of the certification exams.
Yeah. So
or is it just AZ900?
They will have prices if you do all the challenge and everything. Like you have chance to win some stuff. But if you do at least one, you will get guaranteed a voucher for an exam. for a certification. So that's pretty cool because those exams are not cheap.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. I mean, anytime you can get access to a just even free preparation for an exam, I think it's great. So the fact that they've got these little skills challenges here, which honestly I have to imagine they're going to be kind of fun to go through as well. Frank, I shared the link with you so that you could drop it in chat.
Oh, because you don't see the chat anymore.
I just need to drag it over here so I can see both of them. There we go. Yeah, so anyway, this Microsoft Ignite Cloud Skills Challenge I think is super cool, and everybody should go check it out. But what it does essentially, or not what it does, some of the other things that are related to this that we wanted to maybe talk about more specifically to that tweet around AZ900 is, of course, I got the link here to the exam itself. So I guess we can put this into chat as well. Just over here. I lost it already. The exam itself.
Yep.
Should have made short links for these though, huh?
Yeah, we should have, huh? Make it easier to read. Hold on, we have a question from Tyndall asking, if I say legacy web form project and attempting to move it from IaaS to PaaS, yeah, nay, or rewrite?
Okay, so it's a web forms project.
Well, no, the web form project, there's, like, you can always run it inside a container, so you would be running in PaaS, but you're still in a container. To be running fully PaaS, I think there's, let me find that's a good question, Tinal. There's an application that will help you to migrate. That will analyze your code. For example, a lot of time in those applications, we were using the object sessions. It was a very common practice where you're saving information. Let's say you're a shop. Like you're selling stuff. People could put, things in their cart, and the cart was part of the session. It was making a lot of sense because you're talking to one server. But when you move in Azure, then it could be in multiple servers, and usually at least two, because you want to play safe. So now maybe you created your session, your cart in one server, and you're on the other one, so you will have the impression that you just lost your cart. So to avoid that, there's a way to do it, and the tool will highlight those problematic and probably explain how to solve them. In the example of the session, it's a one line of code to change in the config file. Other configuration could be a little bit more demanding, but the tool is really nice. So let me find it for you, because there's a good one for that. And yep, so I have it, and it even works with PHP. So it's app migration tools, and you know what? We're starting to have a bunch of pages, but let me share my screen. I'll remove OBS first. It's a very changing scenes today. So, so that's the tool. So it is at appmigration.microsoft.com. The link is just in the chat. And by the way, if you're watching that on YouTube in video on demand, on things like that, I will put all the link. We will put all the link into the description. So this tool is pretty cool. What it does, it will first assess your solution. Would it be in PHP or .NET? And then it will help you to migrate it, and you could download it to do it very offline if you don't want to expose your code and stuff like that. So you could deploy an agent that will be running on like your machine and stuff like that, will analyze the code, generate kind of a report where everything that is could be an issue, like, and prioritize and stuff like that. So it's a very, very, very nice tool to have. So Tyndall, if you want to go PaaS, it's possible. Have a look to that tool first, and that you may be surprised that it will work flawlessly or mostly flawlessly. But then it depends. Sometimes some module or part need to be rewrite to be scalable a little bit more. But at least phase one of your project migration could be just doing that. And after that, if you want to really embrace the cloud and really follow that curve of demand where like you can scale up and down to be super cost efficient when like there is no demand, middle of the night, nobody's going on your website, so you would like to have as minimum, just heartbeat that's it, to save it every penny, and then when like it's like high peak demand, scale up so like everybody has a great experience. It's possible if you go full PaaS. But that could be your first step into that journey.
Never heard of that tool. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, in fact, we did Mod 20, I think, in Ignite last year. We were doing a demo of that, and even this year also we did. I think it's Mod 20. If you go at all the recording of the Ignite session, there's a demo showing like brief. It's a session that is 45 minutes, so it's kind of quick to show a migration and everything. But we show, I think it was Mod 10, Mod 20, Mod 30. It's the migration using those tools, moving the database, moving the code, and all those things. Pretty cool, and it will be available. One of my colleagues told me it will be available in multiple languages. So if English is not your first language, then even better, because you will have the same video available in different languages.
I wonder, Frank, do you know when those videos are going to be available to everyone to watch?
Already, I think.
Are they? I was just thinking it might be ready by now.
Yeah. Well, I start watching, like, remember last week I was mentioning that I need to do some catch up. I watched like I think I watched 2 videos. I think if you go at my Ignite, I forgot. Like, let's try it like that.
Yeah, that sounds right. Microsoft.com.
Yeah.
So right there we see our friend Sonia, who I was just talking about earlier. And Abel.
Yeah. So I was watching one session with Scott, and I think if you go on Video Explore on Demand, well, if I put the code Mod 10, do I find it? No.
What's the title of it?
I forgot. It's it's a learning path. I'm not sure if those are ready yet. Oh, ask an expert. .NET modernization.
Do you recall which day it was on?
No.
Well, looks like a few of them are in there, quite a bit.
Oh, migration is a hot topic. Or, worst case, you can always have a look to the last year one. So if you go do aka.ms/mitt, I was the Ignite the Tour back when we could travel. Everything was in GitHub for that one, and inside the modernization of web application. So we'll put that page here, or ak.ms/ what I said, MITTT. Those were the session. So we had like migrating the web application. So that's the one, Mod 10, and then moving your database, enhancing. So in those, you have the code snippet, the video showing how to do it, and everything. Let's say I take this one. So you have everything, the demo are there. Very interesting to do. But this year we'll really focus on that app. This one here, I think it was creating a VM instead. This year it was really PaaS. So I think this year will be more close to what Tyndall was asking for.
Yeah, I'm kind of surfing through all the different videos. There's quite a few things on migration from the video on demand.
Did we just get raid? Yeah, Code Live raiding us with a party of 37. Sorry I missed that. Welcome raiders, welcome. Let's go side by side. There it is. So welcome everybody. How was your stream? What were you doing over there? Code It Live. Awesome. Welcome aboard. We're just having fun today. It's a different episode than usual. Today we are both hosting and both being a guest. So we're switching from one screen to the other, answering your questions about Azure. So if you're struggling with the tech in Azure, you're not sure, you would like to have clarification. We were just talking about how to migrate an application and if it was making sense to migrate or if we should rewrite it. We briefly touch also the certification. We should finish that topic because we're jumping from... I'm good to do that, by the way. Being squirreled.
Looks like they were chatting about Blazor before they came and joined us, Frank.
I love it.
We were just talking about Blazor ourselves.
Yeah. What were you? Oh, but Ed Charbonneau was there. So, of course, they were talking about Blazor. Hello. Yeah, so pretty cool. So what were we doing with Blazor? Ed Charbonneau was the presenter. Whoa, lucky you. Do you know Ed Charbonneau, Jason? Maybe you don't. No?
I don't know if I do.
So Ed Charbonneau, he work at Telerik now, right? We look at and so Telerik, they build bunch of controls and stuff like that. So for example, a nice grid or charts or a lot of control for different languages, interface for web, and has been really doing plenty of development and demos and stuff like that. And he's been also working very close with the Blazor team to make sure Telerik control works great on Blazor, and they are awesome also, by the way. Well, I looked at them for my project I'm doing, but they are no community, awesome. So I didn't pick.
Well, welcome Ed, nice to meet you, and everyone else that's joined us from the raid. It's good to have you here.
Link are disabled, Ed Charbonneau. You are pointing on Telerik? I have no problem. Or just paste it so it doesn't look like a URL. But okay, yeah, we'll ping you because the problem is not me having a license. It was, but that's a little bit far from this show. But the project is open source, and I want people to use the project without having to pay a license. And so that's most of the time that's where I have problem with those tools. And I totally understand that at some point you need to sales those control, but it's not just for me showing it, it's for other to use it. But anyway, but I will ping you. Hey Dave.
Hey Dave.
Curious Drive. Bunch of people. Wow, excellent. So should we go back to the AZ900? Jason?
Yeah, we can go back and show what we were sharing with the group previously. Pick things up from there. But
so I share again your screen.
Go for it.
Okay. Let me know also if the music is too loud. Usually I do a sound check, but I didn't.
What are we listening to? Because I don't get to hear it.
It's lo-fi. Just a little beat. So when we don't talk, it's not emptiness. Right. It's not the void.
Exactly. Yeah, we were just talking about the AZ900 exam earlier, and well, that in conjunction with the where did it go?
The cloud skill.
The cloud skills challenge here, and that if you just go through and complete a couple of these challenges, or really just one challenge, then you can go in and take one of these certification exams free of charge. And the AZ900 is the one that Frank and I did, which I think is a good starting point. I wouldn't say it's easy. Would you, Frank? Like I had to study and I had to prepare, but it's a good place to start. And I think it's actually a prerequisite for some of the others too.
I think it's not a difficult exam, but I've been doing Azure for 10 years. So I did touch a lot of things.
Yeah.
The more Azure is growing, the more there's some area that I don't do anymore. So for me, like, it was a really good refresh. I felt the exam was honest, not like crazy question. I know like one of the first instance of that exam, they were asking prices, and I was like, what? Like, you don't need to learn, pricing. That's kind of, not a good idea. I was about to say something that I will regret, so I was just saying, like, it was not the best idea.
Mm-hmm.
But now in this version, I think it was very honest. They were okay, like, what type of resource could be better to make it more budget friendly. Like, that could be the closer to price, and that is relevant. When you're trying to optimize your cost, that makes sense. Like, okay, like if I have a big VM compared to a little PaaS, then yeah, okay. But I felt it was good. I did study also for it a little bit because, like I said, it's a review. It covers globally Azure, so it's nice doing that. Even if you're not a dev or a super tech guy, maybe you're a salesman or you're a manager, doing that, then you will understand better what's happening, why people are struggling with something.
Well, and it is the fundamentals. I mean, it's the basics that everybody should know, with a little bit of a twist that it's in some cases specifically just to Azure. But it's something that all of us should know. I think that's one of the reasons, like, we knew we needed to take this, because like we should know this stuff, and even down to some of the support tier stuff, I think is kind of similar question to the pricing. It's like, I don't know what the support tier structure looks like. And so I had to actually spend some time learning a few different areas that, if it's outside of monitoring and building infrastructure and stuff, it's just something I haven't really touched before. And so I think it's a great place to start. And somebody in the chat was just saying that they were going to take this next month. So we shared the link in chat. I think we can do it again here too. But so it's showing $99 for the AZ900 exam. So you'll be able to do that for free, right, Frank?
Yep. You could,
and then on top of that,
from home.
Oh, go ahead.
I did mine from home, and I just shared the cloud challenge. So who was saying you want to do that? So Joanne, if you want to do that, if you're interested, by doing the Microsoft Ignite Cloud Challenge, you have to October 15 to do at least one of them. So I just share the link in the chat. If you do one of them, you will have a voucher. So you will be able to have an exam for a certification for free.
Mm-hmm. And there's
he said he already finished 4 challenges. Like, you're a machine. That's excellent. Nice. Good for you.
And there's actually some pretty decent Learn modules available too that they've got down here at the bottom of this, the certification page here. But if you just go into Learn TV and search for Azure Fundamentals, AZ900, either one of those, it'll bring you this full learning path. It's got 12 different modules, and as you can see, I've already worked through every one of these in preparation for that, and it definitely helped. You got to set aside some time to do it, because each of them, 36 minutes or 45 minutes is kind of the suggested time that's going to take to get through it all. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, that's definitely how I got a lot of my points. I'm up to, I don't know where you're at, Frank, on your score and here, but
yeah, you have more points than I do.
Most of this level 9 was just from preparing for this exam. So
I will need to catch up, because I'm level 6, I think.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe I did on different account. That's possible, because I did share, like, open parentheses here, AZ, a lot of learning path. So Azure Fundamentals is a learning path, so it include bunch of modules, and those learning paths are also available in different languages. So I did a video series about how to learn that Azure Fundamentals in French. So 12 module, I did 12 episodes of 1 hour each, approximately, all in French. People really like that, because online, when you want like a quick fix, it's easier to search in English, because you're kind of sure that you will find the information. But when it's time to learn and really master like the tech and stuff like that, a lot of people will prefer their first language. So it's really nice that they have those things available in different languages. And very, very recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, even the exam is now available in French. So that's also very, very cool. Before, it was not possible. It was 5 languages, but French was not part of it. So someone pinged me recently, say, hey, the exam was available in French. So pretty cool. So in the chat, we have... yep, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, that it's in these different languages, which is super cool. But somebody was asking about, where did it go with that question went? If you can do other certifications, or if it's just AZ900, and it looks, after looking at the page, it's not just AZ900.
Oh, no, there's plenty of one.
Yeah.
The question I saw was from Simbleed, was asking, AZ900 is good for fresher who want to work at Microsoft as cloud engineer. I think, like I was mentioning before, AZ900 is good for everyone. It's a good one to get started. If you want to go and be a cloud engineer, you definitely need way more than just Azure 900. There's certification for that to become a cloud architect or cloud developer. Azure Fundamentals is just the basic. It covers all services, but at a very high level, or just the basis, the fundamentals kind of things. And then if you want to specialize in the data, you could go deeper inside those modules. And then you can combine those exams, and for example, to become a Microsoft developer, cloud developer, you will do an exam, and then you combine that with a network one and another one. Then you will have a certification level 3, and that's 3's exam, and now you will be an architect. So and those are way more difficult to pass, but it's worth it, because then for your career, and just like the exercise of learning is really good. But there's nothing that block you to just do those modules. I intend to do a lot of those modules to help me make better content, kind of thing, like understand what people are struggling on, because like I mentioned, I've been doing that for a while, so sometimes I don't see what's the problem, and just create a PaaS thing and just upload your code, and
Yeah, it's been fun to go through that, and I've been trying to set a goal of learning something out of the Learn learn modules, or just learn in general, like once a week, just to try to pick up something I've never had time to mess with. Like we were talking last week about different projects we have coming up and what are some of the things we could do live. And I told you though, I've always been able to like look at some Python code and kind of make sense of it, but I'm not a Python developer. I'm not going to sit down with a blank slate and write some Python application, but I would love to get to that point. So I'm starting to like look for different resources on just learning Python really from scratch. And I found that there's a Learn module in Microsoft Learn that will do that in terms of like intro to Python. So it seems like every subject I've thought of, even last week when we were chatting with Melody, we put in Azure Synapse, and sure enough, there's a Learn module in there for it.
Yeah, and even last week, let me find it. Yeah. Let me show that and share my screen. And I see the time fly, so I want to then maybe start answering some question we had, and then maybe we could come back. Ignite, they announce, and I like, they announced the new static web app. We talked about it, we mentioned it earlier, that it's now, you can do Blazor WebAssembly inside the Azure static web app. And the static web app is really nice because it's just HTML, so you could put that in the storage. So for a price side is super budget friendly. I don't like the word cheap because in my mind it's had a bad connotation to it, but it is very, 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 very cheap. And if you need some power, then you could use Azure Function, and this is also a very powerful and very low expensive resources. And now it all support natively C#. So you could do your Azure Function in C#, your WebAssembly, and there's a learning path for that. So if you want to learn it, I just start reading that. I have the intention to pass through that thing, and I want to do more and more of that, maybe even on my stream do that as a good way to validate that nothing is missing, and also to learn more about some tech, just like you, Jason, mentioned, like, things evolve super fast. Like maybe I didn't touch about Cosmo DB for a while, so if I'm going back into that, like you could, you look, say, okay, it's 36 minutes, then yeah, okay, I can totally do that, and you do it quickly. I think it could be very, very interesting. So that's a new Learn module that has been announced. But yeah, when you browse them, you could sort them by product if you want. You could totally search at the top of the screen, and you could do whatever you want. So you could also do by learning path. So learning path will be a series of module on the same topic. So if you're interested going, I would like to go data, or maybe you say, you know what, I am an AI engineer. So you have learning path, AI engineer, and you have just the module, the learning path that are relevant. So pretty cool.
And also, if there's a subject in here that you don't see, Frank and I are on a team that, are encouraged to build Learn modules, or are encouraged to give feedback on topics that don't exist within Learn. Maybe we wouldn't create it ourselves, but definitely get in touch with us and let us know if there's something that's just not in here that you really want to learn about, and we'll see what we can do to make that change.
Yeah, and if you see anything that is you think wrong and anything, let's go back in fundamental. I want to show the example. I think it's at the bottom of the page, maybe because I'm not really in one. If I go in one for real. Okay, intro. So if you have any problem, you could always report an issue. So while I was streaming in French, we saw some part was not translated, and and the text was fully in French. So we took a screenshot, and I used the button just like anyone would have done, right? And it was fixed in like 2 weeks. And the problem was just I was in French Canadian, and that thing was only fully translate in French, because they did some variants of translation, and that's pretty neat, I feel, between like French from Belgium, French from Canada, and like different French. So that's pretty cool. And you have the same in English also, like different version of English available. So yeah, like if you do that, you could just report an issue, it will be fixed, and it was super quick. And after that, I was really proud of like, hey, now it's in French because of my community. Not me, but pretty cool.
Yeah, we got a question. Does that include even just typos and kind of smaller grammatical mistakes and things like that?
I think anything you see, report it. I think, and that's true also for documentation. I want to do a phase probably this week on my stream where we'll pass through documentation that may need to be refreshed in C#. And I want to, it's been a while since I update some documentation. What's the process? But at the end, everything is in GitHub. So it's like, fixing what you think and then doing a PR on GitHub. So this week or maybe next week, I want to do a few refresh of .NET documentation. And I was planning to do that. So it's very accessible. And I think if it's done like, with, how can I say that? Like with a good mindset, like if it's a typo, it's just a typo. Yeah, fix it. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is all in GitHub. Maybe the learning path are in private repos though. But documentation for .NET and things like that are even on public. So Microsoft is going very heavily on public and in open space.
Especially with the docs, like I think you're right, Frank. I don't think the learn modules, even though it all works the same way, in terms of doing a PR to correct something that way, I think that stuff is still private.
Yeah, because it's attached to a few little things after, and there's a little bit more in it, but
yeah.
There, it's not. It's a little bit more like it's doc on steroid. There's a little bit more than just pure doc. Why? It's a shame, Joanne. Because it's in private repo. They couple the things. Well, it isn't GitHub, but
it's still pretty new. But yeah, I think it might be one day open sourced a little bit more. I mean,
there's a lot of process attached. That's probably why.
Well, because it's not, it's building, it's doing a lot more than just what a docs like rebuild does. Although, yeah, it seems like the number of times how many pull requests and commits are happening on docs is kind of astounding. But it's pretty cool that, we are able to make some of that stuff available.
Yep. So let's go back to the question we had. On Twitter.
Is this one of our Twitter questions about deploying applications?
Okay. So we had one question about I lost my track. Where I am? Where are you,
back there,
everybody?
Frank.
Oh, do you want to show your screen? You had Twitter open, right?
I closed it already, but let me get back up.
Sharing your screen right now. So don't go everywhere.
We are going to your Twitter account.
Oh, that's a shame.
So, yeah, earlier we were talking about AZ900. We had a question about Azure Key Vault.
Let's pause that one.
Okay, and then the most recent one looks like was deploying a local Docker image.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a good question, I think. El Bruno was asking to deploy a Docker container from his machine to Azure. So there's multiple ways to do that. And there's multiple destination because you could be deploying your container inside a web app, in PaaS. So instead of deploying code, you could be deploying a container because maybe you need some third-party dependency in there because maybe you're using a legacy application or like any reason you want to be using a container. So you could be doing that, or you could be using it for a Azure container instance. I use that sometime when I have I just want to crunch or do a process. I spawn one container, do the thing, save the output, and delete the container, and it's super fast, very efficient way to work. Or you could go and in a cluster of Kubernetes push one more container. So just by words, what it is, you need to create a registry, an Azure registry. You could also be deploying it from Docker Hub. I was looking for my words here. But since he mentioned to Azure, I'm assuming you want an Azure registry. So that's where your definition of container will live. And then when you create something, let's say it's an Azure container instance, you will then create the container instance, say, okay, go pick my image from my library, and then it will pull it from there. Lucky for Mr. El Bruno, we already have an episode about that.
That's right.
With Eric.
Question on the containers. So will it only work reading it from the Azure container registry, or can you still pull from the other registries?
Yeah, it will work from anywhere. It's just when you're pulling from the Azure registry, it will go very fast because they are both in Azure and so yeah. And also you could have security there, so you could put your own container with maybe some flavor or configuration or something a little bit more private, so it could be a little bit more secure in some scenario, though it could be secure elsewhere also. Just depends on your needs. Right.
I put the link to this blog in our chat for everybody, but yeah, everybody who hasn't had a chance to check it out should go over to blog.allaroundazure.com, which is, I don't know, kind of just an archive for us, really. I wouldn't call it a blog per se. I think it's a little bit of a description about what we talked about, along with some of the links that we used, and then the replay of the video.
Yeah, but in this video, Eric was showing me, and I think he was using Go, but it's the same truth is valid for other languages, but creating a container locally, so we kind of wrap up in the container and app, and then deploying it two different ways that I just described into Azure. So all the step-by-step are there in the link also that now Jason is showing. All the information was also available there, so pretty cool. So episode 18, this is my
episode 18, yeah. And I believe, I'm not totally sure, I want to say we covered it a little bit. I guess we talked about Azure Kubernetes services in episode 24 with Jay Gordon as well. Put that in the chat too. Azure Kubernetes service is one of the topics we went into. So this is, I think, when we were going more into GitHub Actions. But yeah, episode 18 with Eric, that's all about containers.
Yeah, so containers. I have short link for those. And I didn't test it. For the one with Jay. Yeah.
Excellent.
I try to have short links every time we do an episode. So other question from Key Vault was from my friend Joel, and he was asking about topology, and I was not sure what he mean by topology, so I asked him, and now I'm kind of try to read as I'm talking. Okay, so the question was topology, but what he mean is a little bit more kind of the architecture point of view. So for example, if you have 5 application, do you need 5 key vault, or should we have only one with all the secrets in it? And I don't think there's an absolute answer into that, and so like the best answer is the favorite of everyone: it depends. Exactly.
Some of us even have a shirt that says it. It depends.
It depends, right? It's the best one. I think it will depends on like the what's the good word for that? The scope of every application, or how close the application are to each other. For example, if it's a bunch of different applications that I created for the same kind of client. So I'm the owner and I have all those clients. So it's like the connection string for my databases or certificate that for my blah blah blah. You know, like if I'm the only owner, so it's always the same kind of thing. I could use only one Azure Key Vault, because then like the security is not a problem. So you know, that kind of, if it was different, I'm a dev shop and I create solution for different client, then of course right away I need a key vault at least by specific client. But if you have multiple application and you're using only one key vault, you could say that's cool because now I have all my secret, all my security, everything in one place. That's pretty cool. But then the demand will be heavy on that thing, and you could be throttle, or you could have, you know, having the needs to have bigger instances or like a bigger skew of those things to have a good response. So that's why I'm saying it depends. So like you need to find the best spot to have that. So I think you could share a key vault between 2 apps. I don't think it's a real problem.
I feel like I haven't used Key Vault more than a handful of times, but to me, I just needed one Key Vault per resource group, because really everything I was already kind of keeping together in a resource group anyway. Storage, you know, virtual networks, like all that was just part of resource group. And so, you know, I don't know that I've ever had 2 Key Vault instances at any one time, but I feel like I would still just keep them in a resource group. But then again, that just depends on the use case.
It depends on the business. So I could totally see a company having multiple key vaults. And sometimes you say, wow, like I have so many key vaults that, you know, like then it's a problem. So that's why like sometimes you could be tempted to regroup a little bit, you know, like if you're just having like one certificate and one connection string, and you have 6 of key vault with the same kind type in just 2 information, so maybe I should regroup them. So sometime it will make sense. I don't think there's absolute. I didn't ever search though, but I'm not aware of like the best practices for that type of problem regarding key vault. So it's a good one. I will definitely have a look or ask around. But when you do build your application using Key Vault, you need to think about caching your secrets or stuff like that, so you're not constantly asking. Otherwise, you will slow down your process, or like I mentioned, you will be throttled.
Yeah. There also could just be, I don't know, maybe internal controls in place that say we really want our secrets and our certificates and all that kind of, you know, separated into their own thing. You know, just your own internal governance policies that you've set up.
Oh yeah, that could totally be one key vault apart. Just like
right.
A lot of time, ops people will have their own GitHub or like secret file, whatever, with the password for the tool they use, and it's not in any app. It's not part of the dev environment. It makes no sense to be there. So like you could totally have a key vault for processes that are like could be covering something.
Yeah.
So that was also a question we had.
Yeah.
What else?
I think that's it in terms of the Twitter questions.
Oh, API management. Call to function. Wow. 15 minutes. I'm not sure I have the time to cover API management. Do you know what's API management, Jason? Let's just briefly...
Are you talking about the service API management?
It's a service API management in Azure.
Yeah.
It's a way, let's say you are, you offer services in form of API. Maybe you own a lot of data about music and disk and stuff like that, and you would like to build an API so other company could use your API and build different software with that. So you would like to package your APIs with documentation, samples, maybe different packaging, like maybe one free sample where people could do 5 call of an API every day, and different price packaging and subscription and stuff like that. So API management will do all that, plus managing the security, plus the versioning, plus there's a lot of things, proxying also your APIs. So it's an amazing tool that could build around APIs when the APIs is something you want to promote as a product or a service. So very, very powerful, big tool, very interesting, but I cannot go deeper and explain all those things are working in 10 minutes. It won't make any sense, but I can explain at least what it is. So that's very high level what it is.
Grabbing a link for it. I'll drop into chat here, but yeah, I was just playing with it and I was going to try to create one on the fly. And while you were explaining it, I was able to actually get one deployed here. I don't know if there's going to be much for us to show.
API management?
Yeah, I've got just went in, and while you were talking about it, I went ahead and deployed one because I've never used it myself.
Oh.
Yeah,
like so. Yeah, it will generate the portal and everything. And now it's true. Before, when I start playing with APIM, so API management, you know, on Microsoft we like acronyms. So APIM is the acronym for this project. It will generate a lot of stuff and a port or like a developer portal. And now everything is part of the Azure portal, but before it was another one. So it's really well done now. You could even do DevOps with that and deploy your full portal and everything. So when you have a new version of your API, you want the documentation, the sample, everything to follow. So you could do Azure DevOps and deploy all those new features.
And one of the other things I noticed when I was deploying it too is just like a lot of the stuff that you can deploy in Azure, it almost always will ask you if you want to include application insights, which is always for me just like a yes, like always check that.
Definitely, yeah.
Just because, you know, I love my monitoring, I love knowing what's going on with things. So, but yeah, I hear in the quick start they're talking about that too, how you can monitor your API with both Azure Monitor and Application Insights, which I'm sure. Honestly, I just love Application Insights because of the application map. Like it just shows you like every call that's happening and what's going on throughout your entire application database, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty neat. I'll have to look into a project I can do with that. Is that something maybe we can have to add to our backlog, Frank, of all the different things we want to work on together?
Oh yeah, and we can reach out to the PM also. I know him. He will be happy to participate, or like maybe he has a specific angle it would like us, or like a new feature they would like us to demo because something is not present or anything. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And like I think it's it's a little bit meta, right? Because it's a project for projects. It's a tool for developers. So like it's less known or exposed if you compare it to Azure Function, for example. But I think it's very powerful and useful.
I can see how, yeah.
So
earlier I dropped into chat too. We kind of skipped over, but you said you had a blog post that we actually pulled the link up to that talks a little bit more about Docker and some of the deployment methods there too.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's a little bit old, 2018. However, the code is perfectly workable. I think today now Docker is supported inside Azure CLI, so that's even better. Or Azure is inside. Anyway, like they kind of merge now. You could do a command to deploy at one point from the other CLI, so it's pretty neat. But all that should work. And I have a video, I think. So if you want to see what I look like at 2 years younger, I have a video at the end, I think.
Oh, is this here? Oh, okay.
See, even wearing a Docker t-shirt. That's not bad. Same hair and the same glasses. Wow, okay. I need to change my glasses. I don't care. I don't see that my glasses. My wife is always complaining that, you should change your glasses. It's been too long. Well, yeah, so
cool.
Little video. So for El Bruno or anybody else who would like to get started with Docker, that's a good example. Yeah, it's true, I was struggling with different version and stuff like that. Today it will be definitely much easier, but I was struggling with different version and tools and stuff, so I decided to document it. That's how I start blogging, Jason.
I was gonna say that sounds like exactly just our framework for blogging. It's like, oh, I got to solve this problem. Oh, I should document how I solved this problem. Oh, I bet other people would like to know how I solved this problem.
Yeah, and now that and looping back to the documentation, that's why I want to do it this week or next week. This week I'm not sure because I have a very booked week, but we'll see. But there's a lot of stuff that instead of taking the documentation and transforming it in a blog, I should instead be updating the documentation so the documentation works. That's what I want to show, and like that's my kind of goal for this week or next week or something like that, to do that a few times to at least come better at it. So I'll probably be part of my personal stream. I think do that. Not sure yet. Like I said, I need to set up my environment and understand. I don't want to confuse more people, but I think that could be interesting. Integration of the framework thing wasn't straightforward due to the hosted by... Oh yeah, okay, he's talking about the key vault. Yeah, depending on what you're using. Cool. So we have 5 minutes, Jason. I know I mentioned I want to raid someone today, so we need to find someone who raids. But should we share a little bit of our thoughts, plan, have feedback from our viewers about the show, where it's going, like if people are interested for the game or stuff like that, or...
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is to let everybody know that we are all ears and that we want to hear from everybody on what's interesting and what's helpful and what you'd like to learn, and not just subject too, but how. Obviously, we're coming to you on Twitch and Learn TV and trying different things and experimenting, but we don't want to just do it, just to experiment. We actually want to make sure that we're helping people out, and so we've got a lot of ideas for what we plan to do with the show moving forward, and we'd love to hear from people. So I know for me, Twitter's always an easy place to reach out, and just send me a message on Twitter at Jason Hand. But also, just show up here, Monday and Tuesday. I think, Frank, right? That's kind of the schedule moving forward.
Yes.
Frank's going to be doing Mondays. I'm going to be doing Tuesdays. Tomorrow, I've got another cloud advocate who has been on the show previously, Brandon Minnick, and we're going to be talking about serverless and really just kind of step 2 of the stuff we talked about last time, which was creating your very first serverless API. So we're going to kind of take it from where we left off there last week, and then moving forward, we're kind of a little bit of a clean slate and a green field in terms of the subjects that we're going to cover, and that's where we'd love to hear from you. In the next couple of shows, join us in chat and just give us your ideas on what you'd like to hear and learn. At least that's what I think, Frank. I don't know if that's what you had in mind.
Mostly, for me, want to evolve, want to become better, want to serve the community.
There's so much tech out there, I think, is the struggle, right, Frank? Like, if you just leave it up to us, we'll come up with all kinds of stuff. But I don't know. I like to learn new things and hear from different people. Like all the different shows we've been doing, we've been mostly, at least for me, I've been focusing on topics that I don't know that much about, from guests that I haven't heard or seen from too much. So we love hearing from a lot of different people, both within the community and within Microsoft, and just sort of having those diverse ideas and all that kind of stuff. So want to do more of that.
Also, we could, I put the link. I should have asked before, Jason. But that link is a form. If you're interested, if you think you have a demo, because like Jason said, I think the same. Like, I'm doing this job because I like learning. And we only know what we know. So it's really hard sometimes to go outside of the box and try to learn new things. So I'm always looking for new things to learn and new cool demo and stuff like that. So that link should bring you to a page, a form, to register to be a guest on All Around Azure. So if you have a demo that you can demo in, let's say, 30 minutes, an hour, or something like that, and you're not afraid to be on a live with us, doing some stream, fill up the form. We'll contact you. We'll have a look to your demo with you. We'll prep you to make sure you're comfortable and have all your answers. And then you could be a guest on All Around Azure. So, and you will be able to share your cool project and teach cool stuff. So let's go mostly at the end of the show. I proved many times that I cannot talk and type. Let's go side by side. So I would like to thank you all for spending time with us today. It was pretty cool. Thank you, Jason, for co-hosting today with me.
Yeah, it's been fun just doing something a little bit different, and love mixing it up and chatting with some new people in chat there. So thanks everybody for joining us, and everybody who is also part of the raid. Do we have time, Frank, to find somebody else to raid, or are we running short?
I want to go see Gary, or Gep13. He's my Microsoft MVP.
Okay.
And he's part of the team working on Chocolatey, and also part of the team working on Cake. Cake is a build engine done in .NET where you could use it to deploy stuff like that. And today he's working at solving a bunch of different issues. So it will be interesting. We'll be working on different things. So I think it could be useful. So let's rate him. Bye,
Sounds
everybody.
good.
Stay
Right.
stay with us. Say hello to Gary, and I will see you. Oh, Jason is tomorrow will be there for you. So.
That's right. Same time tomorrow here on Microsoft Developer Twitch. And join me and Brandon. It should be a good time.
Cool.
All right. See y'all.
Bye.